And for the next question, candidates, I'll draw your attention to the big screen. Our next question comes via Twitter. This is from Scott. And Scott asks, with ISIL being a huge threat to our country at this time, what is your plan on dealing with this threat? And first to answer this question will be Tim.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that question. The Liberal Party takes Canadians' security seriously. And we feel like we have a role to play, and it is not a military role by bombing. It is a military role that should be supporting local troops on the ground, working with the coalition, and also upping our humanitarian aid. There was a time when Canadian peacekeepers were the pride of Canada, and that's gone. And people miss that and want that back. We need to make sure that we protect Canadians and that we also provide humanitarian support that's drastically needed and sorely missed.
Thank you, Tim. Harold?
Thank you. Well, I think most Canadians do agree with the doctrine of the responsibility to protect. And currently what we have in Syria and Iraq is a group of violent criminals who are running at large and wreaking havoc on those countries and on individuals and on women and children. And for us to stand by and do nothing while these people are being treated in that way, I think most Canadians would agree. We need to step up to the plate and do something. And so it's important for us as Canadians to work with our international allies to do everything we can to address the issue, whether it's aerial missions or whether it's training the troops there on the ground, helping them to contain and restrain ISIL and its partners who are creating this kind of carnage in this country.
Thank you, Harold. James.
Thank you. Tom Mulcair has made it perfectly clear that if elected, we will recall our troops. The fighters will come home. We do have protection on our home soil. Canada has always been known as a peacekeeping country. We've always been known to go and help when the UN has instructed. The war that is going on right now against ISIL is not a UN-sanctioned war. This was a call from the United States for us to go and help them with it. We've always worked with the UN to make sure that we are doing our peacekeeping missions the way we are directed. And I think that Tom is right, that our troops should come home and we can protect ourselves on our own grounds with our own securities. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And Rich.
So the Harper government would have Canadians believe that there's a terrorist hiding behind every corner and under every bed in Canada. This isn't the case. The Harper government has used this as a vehicle to implement Bill C-51 and spy on Canadians and poke around in our emails and phone calls. The Libertarian Party of Canada believes that our military, the sole purpose of our military, is for Canadian defense. So we would bring back our troops and stop the interventionist foreign policy implemented by the Harper government. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Bob.
Now, I would dispute that there's a threat to Canada from ISIL as well. There's certainly a threat to the people who are living in the area in the Middle East there. And some of that threat is directly attributable to Canadians. The only carnage that is taking place there from the skies are the aerial bombardments that the Western countries are putting there. ISIL itself has no navy, has no air force, and as a result of that is no threat to Canada itself. Certainly I agree that there's not a terrorist hiding behind every bush or tree or rock. Canada really has not much to worry about in regards to the ISIL threat itself. However, it's a convenient handle, a convenient point to contest existing legislation that's taking place in Canada, like Bill C-51, that are making Canadians afraid of their own neighbour. And that just shouldn't be the case. There's no reason to fear ISIL because they're not a threat.